Let's move to Apple potentially using YouTube to train its models. Apple has what some would say is a pristine reputation for not stealing stuff and using it for themselves. Other might say Apple steals an incredible amount of stuff like IP, doesn't pay its vendors, like Qualcomm tries to make them go bankrupt. But this is an interesting one. Dan, break this down for us.
Yeah, they've only done that a couple of times, and never to anyone quite the size of Qualcomm. I mean, look, there was sort of this investigation that came out that was making claims that Apple Intelligence had been trained on YouTube data. About something like 170,000 videos is the number that's running around the internet. A lot of these are from these super influencer types, MKBHD, Mr. Beast, and it's about 100. I think it was 170,000 videos, and it focused on the subtitle was really what it was trained on. So it's the subtitles, which was the language. Now, long and short, Pat, is Apple doing this? Yes. Is Apple doing it for Apple Intelligence? And what they're saying is no. And this is really important because Apple launched what it called the Open ELM model, and that was a research contribution. So they were sort of starting to be involved in this LLM development and advancing open source. And so Apple calls that a state-of-the-art open language model. Now, when Apple talks about its open ELM, they tell the markets that this was only done for research purposes. So this wasn't designed to power Apple Intelligence. So I guess the first question, Pat, is and by the way, there's a group, and again, I'm not sure if you're super familiar with it's called Eleuther AI. Now, Eleuther is basically a large collection that they also that's kind of, I guess, has a sort of a nickname of the pile. And this is supposedly a pile of sort of real data. Now, one of the sub issues that's going to come out as we continue to proliferate the large language model and model development is going to be we're going to run out of real human created data to train models on. So what's going to start to happen is we're going to start creating and training models on synthetic data or data that's already been created by AI. So what Eleuther, this pile has been created is to be a pile of real human created content and data that can be used for research and for the purpose of companies like Anthropic, Apple, NVIDIA, and others to train models on. That was a little bit of an audible from the play about Apple, but the long and the short of it is yes, Apple did train on YouTube. It took subtitles from 170,000 videos that were done by high profile influential voices on YouTube, but they used it to train a research focused open source model that is not being used to feed their Apple Intelligence platform. So does that make it okay? And I mean, I think the question mark there is that, I don't know that makes it okay. I don't know that all these companies that are using this content for free without any sort of royalty or sort of licensing agreement for the benefit of research makes it okay. But Pat, look, this is a fundamental issue that sits at the very top of the LLM development cycle. Where were all these models created, right? We all remember the very, very popular video of the OpenAI CTO talking about whether or not the Sora model was trained on YouTube, to which was probably one of the most awkward interview interactions that I've ever seen. When somebody's looking at you just lying straight to your face. But I guess you could call that a lie of omission. So long is that, Apple's not guilty, but they might not be guilty either. They're kind of following the protocol that everyone seems to, which is trying to find high value, real human created content to train models on, to then deploy into research ecosystems to try to create better models. But Pat, here's my caveat. Do we really know? Do we ever really know? I mean, they can say they're not using it in Apple Intelligence. How's the average person ever really know that that's true to be the case? And I think right now there's a lot of trust that goes on. And we found out whether it's been Apple, it's been Adobe, it's been OpenAI, it's been Microsoft, it's been Google, that there is a lot of gray area as to what data can be used, what should be used, and what we're seeing in the results that we're getting.
Listen, I think Apple is brilliant in how they responded to this, right? I mean, when in doubt, you blame it on your research group, you blame it on junior people, you blame it on somebody who put together a process that you fired. I mean, it's
Pat's about to go hard. I can feel it. I was.
no. I mean,
Was I
listen,
too nice? Was I too nice?
no. You were actually, I think, quite balanced in that.
Weird.
And no, I still have PTSD from working in corporate America. I have seen every excuse. I've seen the blame game. I don't know if you've heard the two envelope um, joke about, the new CEO comes in and, one of them, talks about, hey, be sure to blame it on me if things go south. Right. I mean, we see responsibility here, but it is to be, fairer. Yeah, I mean, blaming on your research people. I don't think there are and should be any restrictions on research groups being able to come in and hoover data, as long as none of that gives value to something that ends up to be a commercial entity. And I have a hard time believing that what Apple's research group is doing and the insights they're gaining won't help Apple sell something they're going to make money and margin on. I mean, it's kind of like OpenAI is a nonprofit corporation that's worth $100 billion, right? I mean, it's kind of farcical and it's kind of funny, right? Anyways, I think we've drained this topic as much as we can.
Listen, man, I thought when you launched into that one though, that you were just going to come just crushing down on them. But basically, is the TLDR, if I wanted to give like the sound bite here, is that they're all equally as full of or not full of shit as the others. And when it comes to this, yeah, sorry, I just ruined this one. We're gonna get a censorship.
We're gonna get explicit. We're gonna be.
We hope that everybody out there will stay with us and realize that. I was just saying that in out of love for the industry, because I am a techno optimist, Pat. I like to think it's all good.